Thank you. Uh, Thank you, Urdu Culture London and Anjuman Taraqqi Urdu, for the minute I said this, both of them agreed, Saif and Hilal, to host this very important, for me, very important session and celebration of the 90th year of the formation of Progressive Writers Association. Let me begin by saying that I'm not here to defend progressive writing. I'm here to analyze it. It has been my good fortune that I have grown up with innumerable number of writers, poets, essayists who wrote on progressive writing in the progressive style and also against it, condemning it, asking for reforms, changes in the manifesto. So that the experience has been very enlightening for me, and I cherish it. I wouldn't have it any other way. The title that we had given progressive writing in the time of war and hatred, I would like to just focus a little bit on it. That in India, for example, the Indian state has become the arm of the Indian capital. They are always there. While I was working in Himachal Pradesh, they were there to beat up the farmers. The police was down there for putting down any protest. In Noida, we have just heard 2 weeks ago that there has been a repression against the workers, all to defend people like Adani, Ambanis, and all the big businessmen who are putting in money, supporting the government, and hence the government is giving them the power to use it against the workers' unions and workers' struggles. Yes, I agree with Saif that not much is being written about this, but it is important that we write about it. It is also important that we get to know these movements. It is also important to remember that all these people that we have been talking about now, Kefi, Sajjad Zahir, Mulkraj Anand, were all at some time or the other connected with the workers' unions. They were in jail for that. Ali Sardar Jafri was jailed when India was had got freedom, in 1950. So they were a threat to the government then. They are a threat to the government now, and they have to continue to write. जैसा अभी एनी ने कहा कि डर के नहीं जिया जा सकता, डर के तो ख़त्म हो जाएंगे, तो इसलिए डरना नहीं है, आगे बढ़ते रहना है. And I'm sure that this association that has somehow got flawed, I think because of the revival of, was it revival or was it something new? That modernism, खुद ही के लिए लिखना, ये जो आया उसकी वजह से ये कनेक्ट जो यूनियंस के साथ, फार्मर्स के साथ, वर्कर्स के साथ, विमेन स्ट्रगल्स के साथ था, वो ख़त्म हुआ और कहीं ना कहीं वो पीछे चला गया. तो इसलिए वो उन चीज़ों के बारे में लिखने पर एक थोड़ी सी हिचक होने लगी मौजूदा जनरेशन को. There's another thing that the Indian politics, the Indian regime is practicing today, and that is that it is propagating a secular fascism. As Saif has pointed out, and I agree, that there is, as a reaction, writing only of a certain kind, which then reflects on the total body of literature that is being produced and takes it, pushes it into one corner where only a single or two kinds of subjects are being explored. How responsible are we, the Progressive Writers, the Progressive Writers Association, for dissociating itself with the people's movements? PWA was, let me remind everyone, an arm of the Communist Party of India, one of the mass movements, like there was the Indian People's Theatre Association and later the Indian People's Painters Association, Artists Association, sorry. So how responsible are we that we have got disconnected and we are not able to write about them? Here I would also like to point out that the earlier period of progressive writing involved a huge amount of translation. So translations in Urdu, even at that time, were available of Greek plays, of Virgil and the so-called Roman playwrights, Shakespeare, other important writers, Jane Austen, women writers, Charles Dickens, leftist writers, Gorky, and before that Tolstoy, and all that was available to the Urdu writer, which has somehow not happening with the modern bulk of literature that is being produced all over the world. I would just point out that the war in Gaza is producing exceptional poetry. That is not just poetry of the pain that they are going through, not just the poetry of the genocide. It is beautiful, aesthetically very relevant poetry. I think we should here, as a resolve, decide that we are going to translate maybe one poem a month to Urdu, to Hindi. I take on the burden of getting it published in India if it is passed on to me. If somebody has translated into Urdu, I can very easily translate, transcribe it to, translate it to Urdu, to Hindi, and it can be published both ways. This is important that the Urdu writer in India know what is happening in the world, resonate with the pain that is happening. I would extend this. How much do we know about Africa? How much do we know about what is happening in Nigeria, to the Christians of Nigeria, the southern portion? And how much of the literature that is being produced? There are girls who are writing about the gang rapes that happened to them, the survivors. Those who were killed, of course, their mothers are writing. There is a whole movement that is where the victim and the oppressor are brought together on stage, where the victim accuses, he defends, and those confrontations have led to the oppressor weeping, crying, asking for forgiveness. Why have we not initiated something like this in Gujarat, for example? That said, I would say that the aim here should be, I mean, we can't just all of us sit down and decide this, but I think a discussion should open on this, that what should be there are a number of smaller groups that are doing similar kind of work of promoting good literature, progressive literature. They do not call themselves necessarily progressive, which is not a problem, at least not for me. That we sit with them and work out a policy of a minimum program of agreement and maximum unity. Let us decide that we want unity just on about 3-4 points. If you are not against human rights, if you are not against gender politics being played, if you are not against labor rights and struggle for the labor 8-hour day that was achieved with so much struggle and is now just gone. It's not, as Yusuf said, 9 hours. It's now 12, 13 hours for the boys and girls who are working. So labor rights, peace, and secularism. If you agree on that, then let us sit down and work towards a meaningful change, a meaningful taking forward of Urdu and other Indian languages literature. Let us keep referring to the manifesto that was written and keep moving beyond that. There were a lot of things that were then necessary to be said, but are not necessary now to stick to. As a last thing, I would just like to point out कि मखदूम चचा पे इतनी अच्छी बात रखी शोहाब साहब ने. ये बात कम से कम मैं कभी नहीं भूल सकती कि उनका जो ये जंग है, जंग आज़ादी, आज़ादी के परचम के तले, उसमें एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट मिसरा है, लो सुर्ख सवेरा आता है आज़ादी का, आज़ादी का. तो उस सुर्ख सवेरे का इंतज़ार भी करना है और उस सुर्ख सवेरे की तैयारी भी करनी है, क्योंकि सवेरा जो कुछ देगा वो सुर्ख ही होगा. सोशलिज्म, वी डू नॉट गेट democracy without socialism. Yeah. We do not get the real power to the person's hand who is voting till he's given all the social rights to act on it independently and to demand that the person that he or she has voted to power is sticking to the promises that he made while he was contesting for the election. मैं एक और बात आखिरी कहना चाहूँगी सैफ साहब और हिलाल साहब का और बाकी स्पीकर्स का भी शुक्रिया तो बहुत, लेकिन शुक्रिया इस बात का कि एक खातून का भी नाम नहीं लिया उन्होंने प्रोग्रेसिव राइटर्स एसोसिएशन के हवाले से. शुक्रिया बहुत. ये बात मैं यहाँ पर दर्ज करना चाहती हूँ. आखिरी बात, अब्बा की एक किताब है जो नायाब है, जिसका नाम है ज़िक्र हाफिज़. तो अंजुमन तरक्की उर्दू ने ही इसको पहले छापा था. सो नाउ दे हैव एग्रीड टू पब्लिश इट अगेन. Why this book is important is because there is this misconception that progressive writing is against, or progressive literature should, or ideology should be against what was written, the classical. So this is a defense of classical, and it does not just defend Hafiz, though the name is there, that Zikr Hafiz, लेकिन उसमें आपको डिफेंस मिलेगी कि कैसे आप क्लासिकल अदब को किस नज़रिए से देखें और उससे क्या समझें, क्या सीखें और कैसे उसको आगे बढ़ाएं. आप अपनी जड़ों को काट दे नहीं सकते अगर आपको आसमान की तरफ हाथ बढ़ाना है. तो इसलिए आप आसमान की तरफ हाथ भी बढ़ाएं और अपनी जड़ें उतनी ही गहरी पेवस्त भी रखें अपनी ज़मीन में जो क्लासिकल अदब की ज़मीन है. शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत दोस्तों का, सभी स्पीकर्स का जो आए. मेरे ख़्याल से बहुत सारी बातें कवर हुई और मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि आज का जलसा कामयाबी से हो पाया. शुक्रिया. और हाँ, उरूज का शुक्रिया बहुत. सॉरी.